I'm Alicia Gabriel, and I'm the creative director for Chase Brexton. I've been here since 2009, so as of 2026, will be going into my 17th year.
I'm Kate Bishop. I work for the part of Chase Brexton that's the Center for LGBTQ Health Equity, and my role there is Training and Programming Design Coordinator, which means that I do professional development training, both internally with Chase Brexton staff and also out in the world in lots of different contexts with folks who are working with LGBTQ communities to make that effort as respectful and effective as possible. And I've been here since 2016, so I'm just on the cusp of 10 years. It'll be 10 years in November. I really I work with new staff at Chase Brexton a lot of the time. That's part of the onboarding process is getting a foundation in LGBTQ care, looking a little bit at what some health challenges are that folks in the community have typically faced, and some tips, just like basic etiquette information that we know people were not taught in school or part of their professional training. And we just can't expect folks to magically know when they start here because they have compassion and interest in this community, right? So I love being able to provide the piece of information that somebody absolutely wanted and didn't even know what they needed to ask to get it, right? Like, oh, there's a word for that. Or, my neighbor's kid is non-binary. I'm really excited to hear more about those experiences. And I really love when we have new staff who have been working someplace else where they were really frustrated with wanting to do LGBTQ specific care or HIV care or transgender medicine, and there wasn't an outlet, there wasn't a way to express that, and it wasn't valued in the place that they came from. To show up at Chase Brexton and be like, no, this is in fact a core, one of the cores of what we do, and how much joy and relief, particularly for medical workers who've wanted very much to work in this kind of medicine and have been frustrated in that. I love being able to embrace people and say, welcome home.
Oh, that is exactly, oh my gosh, that's beautifully said, Kate. Oh man, I feel so much of what you just described with coming here, that feeling, that comfort to be in a safe space. And I love what you do. Like, you bring so much to the organization and to our staff, our communities of opening things. It's awesome. And that's one of the things I love about working with my colleagues. I get to learn so much from them, and it's this fantastic opportunity for give and take. And I feel like I'm taking a lot more than I'm giving, but I just absolutely am constantly learning and constantly discovering. And the people that who work here they're just mission driven and community focused, and it's a beautiful thing. So
I have a really broad answer. We're in a moment right now, right? Like, we're in a time when the work all of us do is under a very specific kind of pressure, and LGBTQ specifically communities are just really struggling and feeling a lot of anxiety and feeling a lot of fear, which is super justified, right? Like, we work with anxiety based on the idea that it's somebody's overreaction to a stimulant that doesn't require that level of stress. And we're now in a moment where that anxiety is real on point. Like, it's justified. All of that to say, what I appreciate is I know how this organization was founded, that we are here because of this little idea that a few folks uh, were talking to each other and talking about humiliating medical experiences and deciding we're not going to do that. Actually, we can do better. We can provide for ourselves the kind of care that we need, that holds our whole humanity, that listens to our stories with interest and respect, that really lifts up the lives that we're living, and allows honesty and transparency in the way that we deal with each other. And that is a revolutionary idea. It certainly was in 1978, but it still is. And maybe in a turning a new way, more confrontational or more revolutionary than the context that it sprang out of, right?
Yeah.
So what excites me is getting to be part of a movement that it's more than just like I come to work and we have a meeting or I work on a PowerPoint or, the tasks of my job are largely enjoyable. But what I really get excited about is that I'm part of a we,
Mhm.
and we still have some of those activists active as part of the Elder Pride Council, as part of National Honor, our LGBT Elders Day ceremonies, like as part of our Elder Pride program, and getting to see the way that they are negotiating a new era has
Yeah.
been reassuring. It's been comforting and it's been inspirational. And what's been exciting to me, at least this last year, has been feeling connected to our origin story in a newly vibrant way.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. And very well defined, because this is that moment where we reignite and
Mm.
we find ourselves and kind of challenge ourselves to not give up. And that's an amazing, and you are in the right space for that. That's awesome.
Reignite. That's an
Reignite.
inspiration word. I really,
Yeah.
it's electrifying. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We don't,
Reignite.
yeah. But they did it before. We're going to do it again. So yeah. And being a part of that excites me as well. Not just, you know, because it wasn't always easy here. People didn't, even in 2009, we were still struggling to be out at work. And when you come to Chase Brexton, you suddenly realize that, oh, it's not, nothing is unusual about me. The other part is feeling this. I love writing. I love design. But what I love more is being a part of the solution and being able
Mm.
to use what I'm able to do to support the people who are out there on the front line, making the changes and helping people through either great times or terrible times. And that's what keeps me coming back every day.
I come with a mission statement that was within the first year or two of working at Chase Brexton. What is my role here? And I have 3 points of it. It's say truth, teach compassion, be a blessing to people I'll never meet.
Oh, wow.
And we both do work that is a little oblique. Like I'm not doing patient care, and neither are you.
Yeah.
I'm trained as a social worker, so I have had like people's stories as part of my life more centrally. And
Yeah.
when I moved away from doing sort of direct service work, um, and into this like a kind of meta look at the kind of
Mhm.
work service, the kind of service that we do, I needed another way in to make
Yeah.
it vital to me. And it was my partner who came up with this idea. She's like, you're going to go to work today and you're going to be a blessing to people you've never met, people you'll never know. And
That's
it
amazing.
really like, oh, Oh, like even my little PowerPoint and the
No.
fact that I did research and made sure that it's up to date, right? Like that I um, worked at a way to express that will help line staff workers who've not worked with this population before come with empathy, and empathy equals motivation. So how do I help folks get excited or get compelled about
Yeah.
the populations that are so important to me, that are really the center of my work? Is to help remember, like it's not direct from me, but
Mhm.
it is direct. Like this is going to then have impact on people's health, on people's experiences, on how folks feel cared for and uplifted, and how accessible that makes their future medical care. Like
Yeah.
our ability to give good care means that people will feel safer when they need a preventative screening that could save their life, right? And how can I show up with something that can still be meaningful to me, is be a blessing to people I'll never meet.
That's amazing. Oh, beautiful. Oh my goodness.
She's a smarty. Yeah,
She
that's all,
is.
Tori.
Um, oh, motivates me. I guess I was going to say the never ending list of projects.
Keep it real.
Um, but I think it's still, it's basically the same thing that I enjoy most about working with my colleagues. It's this creative challenge of making healthcare accessible to everyone in the community and being a part of that, um, reaching people who may never have come to a provider because they were too afraid. Um, it, I remember when I first started here, people were nervous about having a marketing program because they felt like it would turn us into a hospital. And
Mm,
it they didn't see it as kind of a just another form of outreach.
mm.
So I had to do a lot of education classes for our staff, and it took time, but now I don't know if it's good or bad. Now we're constantly being used, and um, but I feel like we all together are able to reach more people, and that is what keeps me coming. That's what I love to come here to do. So yeah.
It's a really great example of the different kinds of work that happen in this organization, where so
Yeah.
many, I mean, we have 600 some employees now.
Yeah.
When I started here, it was 200 people. I was a patient in 2009 when you were starting, and we're having those kinds of conversations with people and doing that education. It's a great example of how the work breaks down
Mhm.
into a lot of smaller parts, including working with one another.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it really
Yeah.
it took everybody to make marketing something. And
Mm,
it's not just putting a billboard up, although that was really exciting when that happened. Um,
a nice billboard.
that was fun. But yeah, it's more than that. It's everybody having that goal of getting more people and reaching more communities and making sure everyone has access to care. So my first favorite memory is actually getting hired. Um, I wrote a letter that was 2 pages long to introduce myself, and it was a ridiculous cover letter. I know they're supposed to be brief, but mine was not brief. And I knew that when I interviewed, I was told that 100 other applicants had applied. There were plenty of people to get this job, and I couldn't believe it when I got it. So it was possibly that first week was just astounding. It was, yeah. Um, then one of my favorite is is actually coming to the new Mount Vernon space, because for a while we were in Mount Vernon, we were in 3 disparate buildings, and even though it was small, there were like 100 of us in the whole organization, including Columbia and Randallstown and Easton. We weren't in the same space, and it was kind of a hodgepodge. And my office kind of looked out onto onto Monumental Life. And I remember joking with my boss and saying, wouldn't it be fun if we had that building? And then 2 years later, it was so crazy. Yeah, we were designing pods and like acting out how patients would move through. And it was such a neat experience to kind of see it from the ground up, this making a place that was, there was always this idea that clinics, especially community clinics, free clinics, were, you know, going to be kind of gross and trashy looking, you know, a chair that had stains all over it kind of thing. To create a space that was gold, basically, just this beautiful, engaging, gorgeously designed space to say, you know, everyone deserves this. Everyone deserves it. No matter if you don't have insurance, you do have insurance, here you are, this is it. And that is one of my favorite, like, we just had such a blast introducing it to the community, and then having this open house where everyone got to take like box food home, and like it was just, there was a jazz band. It was so fun. I mean, it was just a lot, an amazing thing. The third, I mean, memory was bringing the Wall of Courage over from the Mount Vernon site. And we had what was called the Walk of Courage. We took the tiles that were ceramic and walked together as a community, staff, patients, donors, each carrying some tiles with us. And it was rainy that day, and we had all these Chase Brexton umbrellas. And if you see the pictures, you see all of us just in this colorful parade. Traffic stopped as we crossed, like they stopped for us as we walked across the street. We had like a red ribbon kind of guiding us together. And then we just launched the new Wall of Courage, and people finding their loved ones on it. That was a really powerful moment. And now they're all in shadow boxes, the original ones. If you go around the building, and there's of course the directory, so you can go find the original. But that, it was just really important to us all, because it's the only memorial to people who lost their lives to AIDS. So yeah, in Maryland. I mean, it's the only memorial in Maryland. So.
I'm thinking of people I know who have a loved one who's one of those tiles, whose name is on one of those tiles, or who are, you know, continuing, who are long-term thrivers, people who are living with HIV, who, for whatever reasons, their body has been able to continue. Just knowing that courage is very current.
Yeah, and we lost a few staff members, so it, you know, that also was pretty painful, but pretty. downsized that one.
Yeah.
That one was also, that's also kind of, I know people who are still with Chase Brexton who remember the people we've lost. And
I'm remembering when the Pulse massacre happened, which was not long after I was pretty new here still. And I'd been working in LGBTQ community health in a different role in another organization, and I knew that they would be doing something to recognize and help people have a place to take the fear and rage and grief that was happening for the entire community. And we lost 49 people in a way that was not rare then, but less common. And that was clearly targeted to folks because of their LGBTQ identity, right? Like because of who they were.
yeah.
And I was on vacation when that happened. I was at Rehoboth with my partner and her mom. And I was constantly like checking the news and knowing that there would need to be some kind of response. And our team, which at the time was the LGBT Health Resource Center, under the first leader of our part of the organization, Nate Sweeney. And I was texting continually with Nate, like, okay, so what's going to happen? What are we going to do? Before I even got home, a vigil was planned. Like speakers were set up. We knew how we were going to amplify sound. We knew my role was going to be to make a board where people could sign or put a thought that we kept for the next year, really available for people. And when I actually showed up, I hadn't had enough like in the planning of it to feel like I was really connected, but instantly got pulled into the way that we're going to mark this and how we're going to hold our head up, how we're going to carry on. Right.
Yeah.
I remember Jasmine Pope, who was at the time part of SWAD and the Power Project, and is a incredible performer, musician, and the work that she did in inspiring and uniting people in that moment. But I also remember Randall Leonard and some of my other colleagues in behavioral health who had, I didn't realize this was part of the plan, set up buttons that said listener and set up a station where if this is overwhelming, being in this vigil, being in this rally, there's somebody who can talk to you one-on-one, and it's not a professional visit. Nobody's going to make notes behind those encounters, but it's an immediate need for community care, and we were going to be there. We were going to be part of that. We were going to step up. And we weren't the leader. We were just one of the organizations who helped to be part of that, but that we couldn't take away the terror of that moment and the grief of that moment, the rage of that moment, but we could be with people about it, right? And like walking with folks in the moments of history that we are all experiencing together has been a powerful part of working with this organization. I'm not typically working with patients. That is a rare thing, but occasionally I answer the door and there's somebody who's shown up with a concern around LGBTQ health stuff. And I, like I said, was trained as a social worker. I'm not doing malpractice by talking with them just about what their concerns are. So somebody showed up who I knew from the community, and a just random sort of set of acquaintances, right? Like not somebody I knew super well, but somebody I knew. And They were here because they were interested. They were here with one of their partners, and they were interested in starting transition and just asking some questions around gender affirming care. Um, and those questions are so tender. That folks are so nervous, excited when they make that kind of call. And
Yeah.
so many times I've answered the phone and somebody's like, "Hey, I'm interested in maybe, I was thinking, I might be, do you have testosterone? I was thinking about," um,
Oh,
and this was the person came in with nervous, excited, and we could just take a few minutes in a side office and ask like, okay, so what do you need? How do you, I'm not even going to be able to make you a chart. You're going to end up calling the call center, but hey, I can tell you a little bit about how this goes here. And being able to say, oh yeah, gender affirming care is part of primary care. That's just what, yeah, it's
yeah.
part of taking care of somebody with a body who needs that kind of care. So
Yeah.
no problem. You don't have to do anything special. You don't need a letter from somebody to start being seen and start hormone therapy if that's important for you. And the amount of like joy and relief it was for this person I knew and could see that bloom
Oh,
in their spirit, right? And that
yeah.
their partner was like, I told you, it's gonna be okay.
Oh,
And it
oh,
was on
that's,
a social media thread, and people were saying like, hey, where can you go for this kind of care? What helped you when you first started um, hormone therapy? And this person's name popped up, and they're like, you know what helped me was Kate Bishop. I went to Chase
oh,
Brexton, and Kate helped me out. I know Kate, she's cool. And it just happened to be like, because I know this person.
yeah,
But it's so rare to hear back when there's been a mission moment
yeah,
um, in a way that I wasn't looking for that information, but just to be able to see like, oh, it's possible that there are tangible impacts on
yeah,
people I care about and respect all the time that
yeah,
I don't know, I don't see, I don't think about.
right.
But they have a lot of impact
Yeah.
for the person when they are in their moment of tremulous need, whatever that might
Mhm.
look like. You know,
Yeah.
that was a cool one.
Yeah.
And then I'll have one more story and I'll be done. Thank you for listening to me.
I
Um,
love it. Talk more.
I've talked a lot about how being part of the department that hosts Elder Pride has
Mhm.
been really amazing for me in growing up and becoming an elder myself. I'm 52. We start elder at age 50. So I became an elder during the time I've been at Chase Brexton. And
Oh,
as yeah, right. Like what an incredible journey. Like I didn't
right?
think anything bad or
No.
good or anything about elders when I started
Yeah.
here. Um, and over time got to be more and more excited about it. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to graduate. I'm going to be one of them. I'm going to be an elder. That's going to be amazing. So I had passed that uh, moment, and this is last year. I was doing a just kind of LGBTQ 101, working with a local arts organization who is changing one of their bathrooms to be gender neutral, and they wanted to work with their staff. What a cool organization!
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I went, I did my like, okay, here's how like address people appropriately. Here's some concerns about people have about bathrooms. What's going on? How are you guys doing? Like, what's happening here around this topic? You know, just like facilitation, like working with that
Mhm.
group. Um, and one of the learners who themselves is an educator at that organization raised their hand and was like, you know what, I'm a two-spirit person, meaning that they are
Mhm.
both LGBTQ, usually gender diverse, and indigenous and a Native American. So was saying like, hey, I'm part of that community. And first I was like, okay, so I talked about two-spirit. Is there anything you'd like to add or amend about my definition? They're like, actually, no, that was on point. I just wanted to say that in my tradition, in my community, the word elder is a sign of respect.
Mm.
And it means so much to me to be able to just come to my job today and learn from an elder in my community
Oh,
and have that wisdom come to our organization. And
oh,
it just like lit me up. Like I feel
yeah,
really moved by how generous, how beautiful that that was something that could be offered to me, right? Like, and the person was
yeah,
acknowledging like, you're older, you've walked through some stuff, and it's true.
yeah,
I mean, anybody LGBTQ over the age of 40 at this point has walked through some stuff, right? Like, and so have they. So has
yeah,
this 20 something year old who
yeah,
is trying to make their way in the world as a two-spirit
yeah,
person, as an educator. And to feel like such genuine respect and know how long I'd been championing genuine
yeah,
respect for elders and elderhood, um, and get to feel like a kind of like this couldn't have been served up nicer to me, like
the full
beautiful full
circle
circle
moment.
about that.
Yeah,
It's just such a lovely experience, and it's something that couldn't have happened without the 9 years at that point of working my way into elderhood and
yeah,
knowing the elders that made this organization, that gave me this legacy, and
yeah,
getting sent to do that work
yeah,
uh, as part. That's my job.
yeah.
Is just amazing. I just left there with so much gratitude.
Mm, mm, that's awesome.
I think you've seen more change. So I'll say a couple of small things. In my almost 10 years, we have grown by staff at least by 3 times, right? Like we are 3 times larger than when I started here. And our patient population has also ballooned. We've opened a few different ways, open new sites and new services. And the service line part is especially exciting to me, that we've been able to move forward in this Center for Excellence around nutrition care, which was
Hmm.
not, I mean, we had nutritionists, but it wasn't a part of how we talk about ourselves in a forward way. And now it is. And getting to watch that happen, and getting to watch the kind of evolution of transgender medicine in
Yes.
general, and how that's been taken up and reflected by providers who are very frontline with that work at
Yeah.
Chase Brexton, has been really cool for me.
Yeah. And yes, the growth of the organization has been astounding, especially in service. Our constant desire to add and build, um, and like the Every Meal Matters
Mm.
program. And I know that that's been kind of on the radar for as long as Becky's been here. Um, and I know how important that is, to our patients, how much food we actually provide.
Mhm.
Expanding behavioral health, it's so much has changed. I think one of the things about when I started, there were like, it was so small, and I feel like
Mm.
I've gone from high school to college, so we still have the same goal in a way, the same mission, but we, as in that small moment, we knew everybody in a really, like, really kind of, you saw them everywhere. There were no boundaries. And I think we still have that. It's just astronomical, in size. I mean, I think for me, six times bigger.
Wow.
Um, so it's, and still growing, which is amazing to me.
Mhm. What I have to say about that is really more about teaching than it is about, or about training, about professional development training, rather than specific to Chase Brexton. But there's a little bit of overlap there. I think the ways to help people enter into information is first just to honor that being a learner is incredibly vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
especially in healthcare and in working with um, communities of identity, right? Like people genuinely think that they're supposed to already know this information, and there's so much embarrassment with like, I've never heard that word before actually. And trying to work with folks around, just let's lower the temperature of what you're supposed to already know and
Mhm.
honor that, being a learner is a courageous and active process, and give folks real respect and credit for going through the
Mhm.
emotional process of
Mhm.
learning new information. Uh, that's a lot of what I like, or
Yeah.
what I would tell somebody about the organization. I would say this is a this is an organization that changes continually. We have made enormous evolutions just in the time I've been here. And I've also seen individual staff members who've made more than one career out of
Yeah.
their time at Chase Brexton, who've like either had different more education and moved into, or just have had different interests or different calling, and have moved to a different department and have
Yeah.
started a brand new legacy for their part of Chase Brexton,
Yeah.
uh, and that's possible. So if you are new here and what your role feels like it doesn't quite fit, maybe there's a way that it could.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great observation and advice. Um, I think for me, it would be uh, first, have patience. You're not going to figure this all out within the first 6 months. It's okay. You might be a little lost throughout, and just keep asking questions.
Mm,
And probably say that no matter what your role is, it's necessary. And
mm,
don't let there be some idea of hierarchy.
mm.
Yes, there are people with doctor in front of their names, but there are also people. So just don't be afraid to talk and ask, and because they ask questions too.
I gotta say, my hopes have scaled a little bit, uh, in this time of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we survive.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because I have any lack of faith in Chase Brexton. I see healthcare in general under threat, and I hope that community care,
Mm-hmm.
where you matter, is true
Mm-hmm.
about all of our community.
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ folks, definitely, but also um, people who are struggling with substance use, also
Mm-hmm.
people who are unhoused, people who are new to this nation and working out how to be here without the language. Like so
Yeah.
many times, folks need care and need compassion, and community health centers are one of the hearts of how that happens in this whole country.
Yeah.
So what I hope for Chase Brexton is that we continue to be a vibrant part of that, because I hope that it continues to be vibrant.
Yeah. And I agree. That is, um, while I know that our history has shown we keep going, um, I think the threat is bigger than it's ever been in my lifetime, or different, because it's very different to me. But, um, I think we've been here. I've lost track of how long Chase Brixton. What year are we in? Anyway, 45 years,
78, something like that.
40 something. Anyway, the amazing thing, 47. The amazing, I'm not a math, I went to art school, so I wouldn't have to take math. Um, I just hope we're here for another 47. I don't know if we will be, but I can try.
I hope we're here as long as we're needed.
Yeah,
And
that
I don't
too.
see that ending in the next 50 years, but you know,
Yeah,
times change in ways that we can't predict.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Okay, I feel like I should just go ahead and answer this first so that you've got real time to tell us exactly why and which. This was the hardest question for me. There's many wonderful colors there. I like a lot of colors. I'm gonna go with the teal. I like it because it's a liminal color. It's a mix.
Mhm.
Green is typically my favorite color, but the green that we have in the color bar isn't as just like appealing,
Yeah,
um, like just immediately as that teal. There's
yeah,
something warm about it. I really like that one.
that's awesome. It's funny because over the years I've wanted to futz with it and maybe shift some of the colors and change some things, but I think that that would end up becoming like an astronomical project and maybe a bad idea because people kind of seem to enjoy the colors that we chose. Um, so obviously there's a reason that the color bar exists, and that it has a significance of the pride flag and our history. It has the teal is actually two of our first logos had that teal in it. I wanted something that would show the diversity of our communities and kind of how it all comes together. The logo I felt was just kind of beautiful, but didn't have the zest. So we
Mm.
made something both zesty and symbolic. And my favorite color is purple.